This weekend, a beloved Denver tradition is taking place all across the city. We're talking about the Colfax Marathon. And while runners may not be taking their mark until this Sunday, a lot of work goes into preparing for this 26-mile race. So hard for me to wrap my mind around 26 miles people are going to be running this weekend. So joining me to explain more about the work involved, as well as the safest ways to go about preparing, is orthopedic surgeon Dr. Nicholas Stockwell. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this Tuesday morning.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about it. What are the most common injuries you see as people are gearing up? I mean, do you even see people injuring themselves as they're preparing to run a marathon?
I think 100% of the time, the most common things we see is like overuse injuries. So these are tendonitis around the knee, the ankle, the foot. So body's just not prepared to undergo, vigorous miles, things they haven't maybe prepared for. So again, not super serious things, but things to look out for as they're preparing.
Yeah, what can runners be doing? I know it's just a few days away, but even in this last kind of, last minute prep, what should people be doing to protect themselves to prevent injuries this coming weekend?
Well, hopefully they're not starting their training now, like you said, but it goes months of preparation for most people. And I think, being diligent in your training and not ramping up too quick, too soon, packing on the miles, which will lead to those injuries that we just talked about. So, and I think the thing that gets neglected too is, strength training. We think about just going out doing multiple miles.
Yep.
Your mileage increases each week, but, not neglecting your muscles around, your thighs, your hips, your back, because all the things are going to be supporting you, during this race that are important. So I think that, and another thing I stress to runners too is their nutrition. Very important, not just leading up to, but day of, to really dialing that in and knowing, what their body needs for fuel.
Yeah, great question, because that was going to be my next one as far as like day of. My husband does crazy things like this and drinking pickle juice and all this like weird stuff. Sure. From, the orthopedic perspective, what can you do during this 26-mile stretch to help yourself out?
So I know there's a lot of different mechanisms of, just basically getting sugar, whether it's, chews or goos, whatever. There's different brands. I'm not here to support any, but they're all basically just sugar is what your body needs. Sugar. Running 26 miles, running, 3, 4, 5 hours, your body's going to break down, muscles, and you're going to need that fuel. So, getting your body used to it on the day of, taking something in, whether it's hydration, whether it's these chews every 15, 20 minutes even, just so your body doesn't get behind.
Is it true? I always hear this thought that oh, it's just your mind, ignore your mind and press through. But can you really just ignore what your body is telling you during this process?
I mean, some people are good at that, right? They can tolerate pain. I think that's one of those things I tell people, listen, in your training, there are certain warning signs hey, maybe we should dial it back, take your rest when you need it. But I think that's something exactly that you just have to know your body, know your limits, know your capabilities, and just kind of practice and, when you perform, just kind of stay within those limits.
Mm-hmm. Any specific warning signs that you want to let people be aware of?
Well, those are the ones probably that have shown up in training when you talked about doing too much. We talked about tendonitis and things around the knee and the foot, but, those kind of things go away as you train more. Mm-hmm. The dreaded, the stress fractures we hear about in the shin and the feet, those are getting worse as you're training. They're not going away. Those are kind of the warning signs, kind of pinpoint pain. In those areas are something to really be kind of, worried about and maybe seek care.
Are you expecting more people in your office next week after this weekend?
You never know. I mean, I think it's different. Like you said, I think, the few days after the race for most people are, going to be pretty rough. And so I think, they're going to be recovering. Hopefully, everyone hydrates the day of, whether it's hot or not, hydration is key. So, we always worry about heat exhaustion, heat stroke too. So hopefully the next few days people can calm down, but if there's still nagging injuries, maybe a week or two later, then maybe, we might see some more uptick in our visits. Okay,
you'll know who to see. Thank you so much for spending some time with us and just, getting everybody's mind right and body prepared. Yeah. Oh gosh, it's incredible, I think, what your body can do if you take care of it the right way,
For
right?
sure. Good luck to everyone. Yeah.